It's the final. Hey, Ting.
Hello.
For the very last time, hello everybody, wherever you are watching us from. Because from judging by last week's comments, you're watching everywhere, even if the show is not aired. We are grateful for you investing in time to watch this wonderful little show that we have been doing. I think now for about 6 or 7 years, Tig. Can you
Oh,
believe
is it
that?
really?
We started off in the shop, just chatting around the table. Then Zoom made us, not Zoom, COVID made us go to Zoom. And then I was editing, and then we got this fancy software, and then we've just been like this ever since, where we show the pictures. That was a significant change to the show, I think, wasn't it? Showing the pictures for people to watch.
I think so. And I think, for those, I think we've had people comment from America and Australia and that where the show isn't shown as live as
Yeah.
it is here. And I think they have to wait possibly even a year or so before they get the show on the international BBC stuff. So it's great that they can see the garments that we're all criticizing.
Absolutely. It does make a difference. And we've got some of those comments here. Helen says, sob, sob, only one more week. We'll have to put your videos on autoplay. We can't get the B in our country, so thank goodness for your chats. Most enjoyable. How lovely is that?
I know.
And then another one, Sarah, you make the show come alive, even though as a resident of USA, I can't watch the programme. Thank you. I'm on tiptoe to watch your Unpicked final next week. Brilliant. This comment made me chuckle because you probably are seeping through them, because Bev says, I love your YouTube chats. I can now hear your comments as I'm watching the sewing bee. How good is that?
I mean, that's very flattering, but I feel that if she could actually hear our comments on the night, her ears would drop off because they're a bit blue at places.
But this one I wanted to finish with for all our viewers, because to me this really sums up why we do it, why I certainly want to do it, and why I do more of this on YouTube. From Jan. Oh, Stuart and Ting, I so love your sewing banter. I really miss you both when the Fab series of the Bee is over. You both make me laugh so much, and yet your analysis of the show is serious. Not having sewing friends I can discuss with, your YouTubes are the next best thing. Thank you for taking the time to do them, especially as you're now back at school now, Ting. See, look at that. That is really it, because there are people around the world who don't have many sewing friends, or they don't go to the sewing club often enough to then have that chat. And this is where this is important. It means more than just watching the show, I think.
Well, yeah, and when we first started, we didn't know what it was going to turn into and how it was going to involve what it is now. I also didn't anticipate that we would actually be giving the sewing bee a run for its money when it comes to runtime, because I never thought that these videos would be an hour long
I know.
or more in
Yeah.
cases sometimes. But it's lovely to hear that, because yeah, we want to try and be serious and take it in, but also you can't take life too seriously. If you're going to make a shirt that you rip up, then of course I'm going to take the mick out of you.
Absolutely. Well, we've known each other for a long time now, Ting, haven't we? I was writing a comment to Susan. Was it Susan or Sue? I can't remember now. And saying back when I started teaching in 2000, you started at the same school 2001?
A year later,
Yeah.
2001, yeah.
And it was a
And
time
I'm
when
still there.
when our school was booming, and it grew and grew and grew, and we were very fortunate. Money was coming in, certainly for my department, for the arts. It was very well supported. Your numbers were growing for business studies and economics. And what are you doing now? You've got loads of students, loads of courses, haven't you now?
Oh, well, yeah, just across the board, different GCSEs and A levels, but yeah.
So we go back a long way. So we can have that chat with each other and not get offended and know where that line is. But I think that's right. That teaching analysis, or that the idea of knowing assessment criteria, how to mark things, what to look at, perhaps has an impact on our outlook of the show. And of course, we love to craft too.
I also,
Go
I
on.
also wanted to say as well that when we sit and talk, whether it's on here or whether it's on WhatsApp when the show's on, or whether we're just in the shop and it's just you and I, like a lot of people who probably watch these videos, you have your opinion about what's gone on, and you go, "Well, I don't like that. I don't like them. I don't like her. I don't, I don't like the color. I didn't like that." And then you watch this video, or people have watched these videos that we've done, and they agree with us. And I think that means you're not alone, because sometimes you can sit there and go, "Well, I think all of that, but am I completely wrong?" But the number of people who just comment
Yeah.
and go, "Oh, I totally agree," or "I agree with you, and I don't agree with this, but I agreed with that," and it just shows that that you're not stupid watching it on your own, thinking those things, because we think exactly the same as you, and I think that's part of the community
Yes.
spirit here as well.
Absolutely. Well, let's go for it then. We had these amazing 12 sewers, the class of 2025. And boy, from episode week 1, we went off to a bang. We could see the skill talent there from them all. And here we are now, 10 weeks later, with our final 3. Kaz, Órla, and Yasmin. Now, as we do, we actually, for some reason we didn't do it last year, but we did it the year before. I've crunched and bit my teeth in. I've crunched some stats, and like good old match of the day, I put them into the computer, and we could look, and we could just do a bit of pre-match analysis, Ting, of the 3
So
sewers.
this is no mean feat for you, because numbers are not your friend really, are they?
Exactly.
It should have been me crunching the numbers, not you.
Thankfully, they didn't go over 5, so that was okay. So, what have we got? Let's look at Kaz first of all, okay? Won the pattern challenge once won the transformation challenge once, but garment of the week 3 times, which may be a big thing
Yeah.
coming into the final. What would you say about that?
I, it's a difficult one to say, really. I suppose. Well, I suppose the statistics we haven't got are for the other people, because obviously Kit was phenomenal in the pattern
Yeah.
challenge, which then meant that actually we haven't got a wide variety. Like, the reason Kaz has only won one is because Kit was
Kit.
so good at that as well.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, I suppose, to compare across the 3 finalists, because as we've said all along, we've had some excellent
Yeah.
sewers, and some of those got a garment of the week, some of those got a pattern challenge, some of those got transformation, and have left us. But I think that is a strong position to be in, when you consider that the garment of the week is normally the bit where you have stopped and thought about adapted patterns and planned, to meet a
Yeah.
brief that you've been given.
Yeah, and knowing how big the made to measure is, I'm thinking, well, you're going to go in confident then, aren't you? If you've got 3 here now under your belt, you would like to
Yes,
think
but
you're going to be a
But
bit,
you look at that, it was week 3, week 4, and week 7. If she'd had 3 on the trot going into the final, you might have a bit more
yeah,
confidence. But 3 and 4 was a long time ago in the context of this. Yeah, you can sit there, she can sit there and go, "Oh yeah, no, I've had 3 garments of the week." But those successes were early on.
true, absolutely. And the other contestants might be warming up over that time. Have you got a favourite
Yeah.
looking at those up there?
Um, I did like the Dorothy dress. I think that was a good take on that. And I did, I know on the video, I did like the silhouette of the camo, but if you remember, I wasn't a fan of the
Yeah,
colours
yeah,
on that one. But the silhouette was very good. In fact, I mean, all of these, you can't say that any of these were bad. I loved her fashion designer one, because of the way she handled the
yeah.
fabric. I think, and even the pattern challenge with the wrap dress, she did so well pattern matching and getting that all around the right way. It's very difficult to turn around and say, well, none of those are any good.
We've had this conversation before, and I know many of the viewers have. We're talking about, is the sewing bee, should it just be about sewing? Design is coming into it more. When you look at that, those 3 made to measures, is that not a perfect mix of sewing and design?
I think so, because um, Kaz was very good at using existing patterns and then adapting to her needs. And, I know we spoke a lot about Kit last week, drafting their own patterns, which, is a skill in itself. But I think on this show there is that kind of fine line between
Yeah.
the sewing and the designer. And we mentioned with Gaynor was a good example of someone who could handle a pattern absolutely precisely, but didn't necessarily have
Have
the
the
big designer flair bit to it. And so I think you've got to be careful, because if you're just starting out sewing, you're probably clinging to patterns. And if you've been sewing for 50 years, you probably can use a pattern with your
yeah.
eyes shut. And so to ask people to actually design as well as use patterns, and that is a lot to ask on what is essentially an amateur sewing program.
Okay, let's look at Orla's stats. Pattern Challenge 1. She's won the Transformation twice and Garment of the Week twice. And let's have a look at her pictures of those ones that won.
But I mean, again, what can you say? You look at all of those, and I can remember all of
Yeah.
those for being stunning makes. Even going back to that influencer outfit, that was
Yes.
done all the way back at the beginning, but that was a phenomenal piece of sewing.
Yeah, that was week
And then
2.
don't, I mean, obviously we could debate into the early hours about what
Yeah.
happened with the horror doll week.
Yeah.
But even those transformation challenges, look at, it's 90 minutes
Yeah.
to make those.
And look at the
And then, of course, the plus
skill.
fours last week
Yeah.
were just phenomenal.
Absolutely. And let's take a look at Yasmin, who perhaps has been throughout the edit, like in the background, maybe rising up, but then suddenly, oh no, she disappeared again and raising. And that's not obviously her fault. That's the edit as well, isn't it? But
Yeah.
Pattern Challenge 1, Transformation Challenge 1, Garment of the Week 1. I'd be interested in knowing how many times she was actually second or third. Might be interesting.
Yeah. Because we're not normally told that, are we?
No.
Well, I mean, I suppose we are for the pattern and the transformation, but again, those outfits are memorable outfits. So it's absolutely right that she has got those. But I suppose when you then, if you're crunching statistics on paper, she's coming in at the back end
Yeah,
of the race, isn't she?
I think so.
Which again, like you've just said, it's an editing thing, because I felt that she was very much in the background, and I thought, oh, she's gonna initially, like weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, you get about halfway through, and I thought we haven't really seen her. And I was like, well, maybe that's because she is actually going to go all the way, which obviously she did. But I worked on the basis that, as they obviously edit the people who are going out that week, or who are in the bottom a bit more, because that they're leaving. And so there was a part of me that's like, oh, she's going to probably go quite far. But then even as we got down to these last couple of weeks, I still felt that they
Yeah,
didn't quite give her
yeah.
the same amount of screen time. And I might just be exaggerating that, and I'm sure somebody has timed it down to the second and will put me wrong and say it was absolutely fine. But it just felt
Yeah.
that way. It didn't feel that we got to know her perhaps as well as we had the others. And whether that's because she just didn't win as much, I don't know. But I felt for her going in, because, like you say, on paper, she's actually the
It,
one bringing up the rear.
it must be down to what they are like. I can't imagine what it must be like in the sewing room. But if you're not giving as much to the cameras when they're
I
around,
mean,
you ultimately aren't going to make much of the edit. So maybe Yasmin was just, I'm just going to sew, or
I
I'll
think
do a bit this, but I'm not going to somehow attract the camera and make an edit.
And I think that's a perfectly valid point. Nothing against the other two finalists, but Kaz was very outspoken and, forthright, and was there, had quite a big personality. And then Orla had youth on her
Yeah,
side, where she was very enthusiastic and exuberant and wanting to try things. And I think, Yasmin was much more focused and was just like, yeah, no, I'm just going to do this and I'm just going to keep going. And that attitude has got her to the final. But I also feel that that meant we didn't quite
yeah.
know her as well.
And if you look at those dates, though, the pattern challenge there of the baby doll
Oh,
dress,
she was
week
on the she
7,
was on the trajectory. She
transformation
she
week
was
8, garment of the week 9.
quiet,
Yeah,
and she absolutely deserved to be in the final, because
yeah,
she went on that journey
yeah,
where she started, and when, trying to pick her out of the first show, to then, winning those last ones. She absolutely deserved to be in the final, and went in on a high, because she was the one who was getting better every week, whereas, as we said, Kaz had her success at the start and then was quiet, and then even the other week we were panicked because we thought she was going home.
Yeah.
So I think that's also something to bear in mind with Yasmin, is that she had the, for the want of a better word, the journey that they always
That's
talk
it.
about,
Yeah.
where she just got better and better.
Now, we have our final three here. It is the first time, I think, forever of me watching this program, I've gone, oh my God, it's such a lovely final. I love all three. I literally don't care at all who wins it. And therefore, I'm happy and excited to watch the final. But as I was watching, I couldn't help thinking, oh, it maybe felt a bit flat for me because something was missing. So could we say that, yes, we were excited about the final because we loved all three, but did it therefore lack something because maybe many of us didn't have that one person that we wanted to win that then gives that extra, ooh, that, you're sitting on the edge of your seat. Did we lose something in the final
I
this year?
think I think there is an element of that, and if you've got the one that you fell in love with, like in show one, and they happen to make it all the way to the final, then you probably were rooting for them. If you decided, after episode one, that Órla or Kaz or Yasmin was your sewer, then you probably were like that. But I think we had got to the point where it was, oh, these are all very good. We also have said throughout the whole show about all of the sewers,
Yeah,
they were all very
yeah,
good sewers. And if for the want of a bad day, it could have been a completely different three in the final here. Um, but I think there was something kind of missing from that aspect of it. And also, there wasn't, and I don't wish them ill will, but because they were so good, there was, even when Kaz's fabric was stretching on the first one, it wasn't a tragedy of epic proportions
no,
that
no,
when everything went horribly wrong, because yes, it stretched, but then the other bit stretched because it was all cut on the
yes,
bias, and it all,
yeah,
so it was just like there was no jeopardy, and you don't want that for them,
no,
because that would be awful
no,
if it would go. But as a viewer,
yeah,
we'd kind of got to that point where we've got three fabulous sewers. We didn't really have a favourite,
yeah,
so therefore it did feel a bit
yeah.
flat. And then nothing really happened in the episode to put the
Yeah,
jeopardy in either.
they did try, didn't they? They did try.
They tried,
Yeah,
but when you've got good
yeah,
sewers, and we've, to be respectful to everyone we've talked about in the past, we have had finals where we've gone, well, they shouldn't be in the final, or everything, and then that
absolutely. Yeah,
adds that bit of like,
yeah,
oh my god, are they going
yeah,
to win? But and they don't normally, but we didn't have that, and I think, yeah, it was, while it was lovely to know that we had three excellent sewers, it was just a bit of watching TV last night. It wasn't edge of
yes,
the
yeah,
seat.
yeah. Completely agree. Well, let's go in and have a look and see what they made and talk about it. So here we go into the pattern challenge, and they had to create a bias cut slip dress. Now, if you look at that pattern requirements, 2 meters of fabric, that's it, nothing else. 3.5 hours. It needed to have a cowl neck, as you can see. I'll change to another picture in a minute. Spaghetti straps, cut on the bias. And Patrick said it may look simple, but it's not, because we're expecting perfection. But I thought this was
Well,
a
as you should,
great,
it's the final.
this was a great pattern because this is many
So
ladies
yeah,
and well maybe gents as well wear this type of a pattern, don't they?
I think so. This was the other thing. So obviously, over the other episodes, we've had, and it is themed. Oh, we had the, this theme, that theme, and everything else like this. I will say that this very much felt like this was a sewing program because there was no
Yeah,
theme. So this pattern, and this is where you just want to say to the producers, look, you did so well this year, you just need to tweak it, because they said, oh, we're doing this pattern not because it's 80s week or whatever. I mean, they used Kylie, didn't they, as the music and
yeah,
everything, because she wears these quite a lot. But they didn't like turn around and say, oh, it's 90s week or anything like that. But they said, oh, because it's cut on the bias
yeah,
and it's doing French seams and it's making spaghetti straps.
yeah,
So suddenly, after all this stupid airy fairy design this and theme that and inspired that, we're actually getting sewing
yeah.
skills and the contestants, not Sarah or anyone else, where the contestants are saying, oh, well, you do a French seam like this, or you do a rolled hem like that, or you make a spaghetti. And so just for once it felt like we were learning
Yeah,
something.
yeah. And
Which was
also,
what this was originally about,
yeah,
11 series
yeah,
ago. You felt that you were learning how to do stuff. And it's just like, you can still do that. You've just proven in the final that you can find a pattern that has skills in it and then
yeah.
focus on those skills.
And I can also see much of the nation going, I can make that dress, or I would actually wear that and make that for myself. And there are the three finished makes.
I'd love to see you make it.
Oh my lord, you have just now on. You're on.
Okay, can I
Viewers,
be there when you stretch the bias fabric?
me stretch the bias fabric. I have just learned over the last 3 years everything from a professional tailor couturier. I'm not going to be.
Right, okay.
I'm not going to be.
That'll keep you going then.
Oh dear. Let's take a look at those finished pictures then of Kaz, Órla, and Yasmin. As you saw, it was going to be about fabric choice. Let's go through alphabetical order. Kaz, she chose a rum old fabric there, didn't she?
Well, so the thing is, and this is where I think they tried to create some
Yeah.
drama where there really wasn't any, but her fabric was a slightly lighter weight than the other two, and it had she had only cut it out and it had already
Grew.
started to stretch. But then, like I said to you, because it was all cut on the bias, as one bit stretched, the other bit stretched, and then actually in the end it all kind of met up and was still fine and okay. But they tried to put a bit of
Yeah.
tension in there because it was frustrating for Kaz because it was literally shifting as she was cutting and
Oh
everything
God.
else. But you cannot blame her for choosing that fabric because that is a stunning
Yeah.
pattern on that
Yeah.
fabric. And it just breaks it up a little bit and make it a little bit more interesting.
It does. Those little blotches of orange and red and purple. Ugh. Absolutely wonderful. And let's take a look at Orla's.
I mean, this is the one that you'd probably associate with someone like Kylie, the
Yeah.
block of colour.
That
And
rich aubergine purple, isn't it?
yeah, and it was just, I mean, well, as we
Yeah.
know, it was very well made. She'd hit that bang on.
And then Yasmin's close up.
And again, I'm not saying that I don't, well, I've just said I loved Kaz's fabric, but the flat colour is also kind of what that dress is known
Yeah.
for. And so I suppose those two looked a little bit more traditional in that respect because that kind of satin flat all in one color rather than the multicolored one. But I think that the Kaz's one absolutely worked as well.
And it was close. As Patrick was saying, some of your hem was a bit wobbly, or some
Well, you
was
can see
the
just
bias.
below your chest, you can see where Kaz has stretched her hem out, so it actually fluted a bit
Yeah.
just underneath your picture.
Yeah.
Where everyone else is, or the other two, it's straight
Well,
down, and that's where she just stretched it, doing that sewing of the hem.
Orla's looks pretty much spot on. There's a little bit maybe going on with Yasmin, but that was, I think, in the.
Oh, it was only a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Patrick said. So we had Orla first, Yasmin
Oh,
second.
the pen's out.
Well, not for much longer because the iPad has just said it's only got 5% left, and I had it on charge. I think you've put a curse.
Thank God for small
You've got to put a
mercies, let's
curse
put it
on
that way.
it. Okay, a little treat before we move on to the next round.
Ooh.
You who've been watching, we have been overwhelmed with all your comments this season. And I do just want to say how important it is for us because it affects my shop. We get ad money from YouTube, and all influencers do it. It's the whole idea of YouTube. You produce content, and in return for that content, you get a slice of the ad revenue. Well, with your viewership, it has a tremendous impact on the ad revenue to the point where normally I might get, say, 50, 60 quid a month, and that would pay for the broadband bill or the BT bill, Well, during Sewing Bee, it pushes the ad revenue up, and I'm happy to say this because I think it's important for you to know on how your watching impacts to around £250. So for the last 3 months, of summer. Now, you know how hard it is, Ting, because you've seen the books over the years and you've been in the shop. Many people just stop knitting and crocheting over the summer. So getting people through the door is really hard, and then getting them to spend is really hard because they just stop knitting. So that income from the ad money from you watching has meant we've got through summer with a cushion and comfortably to pay many bills of the shop. So we want to say thank you for that and just give you a little treat back. So we've put all the comments in to this magic wheel that we've got lined up. This is episode 1, week 1. We got a phenomenal amount of comments. It says there 68 people at the bottom, but obviously there were replies and I was replying, you were chatting, the comments went through the roof. So I thought, right, let's put everyone into the wheel, and for the pattern challenge, the transformation challenge, and the made to measure, we will give a prize. And that prize will be an electronic PDF of your choice from, say, Minerva Crafts or Merchant and Mills. Up to 20 quid, Ting. Come on, let's hear you.
Wow.
We want to treat you and actually keep it in the sewing world. So if there's a pattern that you've always wanted from the fabulous Merchant and Mills or in Minerva Crafts, because I know they do fabric and patterns, whoever wins, you can just send me a message on the email or on YouTube and then let me know, and then I'll treat you to it and send it to you online. So here we go. Let's see who was won from week 1's comments. If this works.
Well, let's hope it wasn't one of my replies. Otherwise, it'll be a fix, won't it?
Who's that? Someone with the username Scott's Queen. Right. And I need to write this down.
Oh, Lord. That green is horrible.
Is it blurring your eyes? Is it making your
I can't even read it.
Is it making your retinas bleed? Right. Yeah. Scott's Queen. And let us know, Scott's Queen, if you're not into sewing and you just watch it, then maybe you could just say pay it forward, and then I'll give it to someone else. But otherwise, you've got a pattern of your choice from Merchant and Mills or Minerva Crafts. All right, we've got another 2 wheels to come.
So I presume that when you use the we, you're using the royal we, because if I remember correctly, I don't benefit from this at all, do I?
No.
I just give up my time for you freely.
I think I've given you free cake before as a treat or a meal out. I just say, I can give you some yarn. Do you want 10% off?
Oh, I think I get that anyway, don't I?
Oh, you do. You're like a lifetime 10% off every time you buy something. Okay, let's move on to the transformation challenge, and let's turn the page. Okay, the transformation challenge. They were given a selection of translucent garments, tulle, organza and lace, and they were told to transform them into, get ready for the joke, Ting, into something curiously stylish. Gotta love it, haven't you? They were allowed 4 garments each, and they were to play with the see-through nature. And then this is where Esme had clearly been watching Frozen, because she wanted you to play around with what you could reveal or conceal. Like that.
Well, you know I don't like the transformation challenge on the best of days. And I was just kind of like, with this one, I was like, oh, because I mean, like, that top there is not concealing anything. So you're actually giving them something that doesn't even start off concealing anything. And part of the big job of it is to make it conceal where it's necessary, but then also still look like a half decent garment. And I think 90 minutes to do that was difficult, because I think all 3 of them turned around and said this was the worst transformation challenge they've ever done. I could understand that.
They did have a few garments that had lace, white cotton lace with a bit of embroidery that would be the see-through nature, and perhaps make it more opaque. But you're right, maybe there wasn't enough of that. Let's have a look at what they made. There you go. And quite different. I think Yasmin's was very simple in that respect. You got those shorts underneath, and then the
But
layer over the top. But it kind of
she
worked.
took so long doing the covering up of the nipples,
Yeah,
as Esme referred to it, which is fabulous. Don't get me wrong,
yeah,
but it then left her very little time to do anything else. So then it comes across as quite basic,
yeah,
and I think they criticised for that, and I was just like, yeah, but at the same time, she's done all that work on the top that in 90 minutes she didn't really have much time to do
yeah.
anything else.
Agree. And then you've got Orla's, which is kind of there, but then a lot of
It
work on the
was, but then I
flowers.
was just
Is it? Did the two
Well,
work?
flowers, mushrooms, whatever she
Yeah,
wanted to refer to them as whatever it was. But I also then felt that, and again, Orla said, "Oh, this is the worst I've ever done," because all she did is just really kind of stick them onto
yeah,
that
yeah,
Mac, and it still didn't seem like it was. I don't think I'd want to go out without something else underneath there because it didn't seem like it covered enough. At least Yasmin's kept your modesty.
And then this is where as I was watching Kaz's develop, thinking, this is so skillful. It's so clever, isn't it? Let's go to a
But I
close
think it
up.
comes down to what you've chosen. She was, and I'm not saying they weren't exactly fighting and rolling around on the floor, pulling things out of each other's hands, but she was very lucky with the Mac because although it
Yeah,
looks like she's done a lot of construction there, the main white bits she didn't really do that much to. She added the black underneath and everything, which then does exactly what they asked it to do,
yeah,
which is absolutely why she should have
yeah,
won that challenge. But I feel that she just made the right choices with what she'd
yeah.
got there, and it just allowed her to then produce this.
But
Whereas I think there was a bit of regret when the others got back and didn't really know what to do with
yeah,
theirs.
when you look
And
at
that's where that argument comes in about design again, isn't
well,
it?
that's exactly what I was just about to say. Look at the design of that central zip, and then these two here, and then the horizontal of the
Yeah.
breast area, the chest area. It's just. I would wear that out. I would actually, for the first ever transformation garment, I would wear that.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing
It
at?
was it was
It,
actually, vaguely wearable, wasn't it?
yeah, because it very
I mean, I don't know
rarely.
if you could pull it off, but good luck trying.
We've often said, haven't we, that no one would ever wear those transformation garments, really. But I
No.
know it's fun. We've got to keep reminding ourselves the transformation challenge is something different from that point of view. But Kaz, yes, she did come first. Orla second. Yasmin third. So we get to the point now where we're thinking, oh, it still could be anyone's, couldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I know. Oh, hello. I know that we often say, "Oh, you go into the made to measure," and that could be the make or break it when we're just watching the ordinary episodes. But we'd basically done the first two, and you might as well have just not done them and gone
Yeah,
straight into the made to
yeah,
measure because we got to the point whereas it was still whoever can pull off a good made to measure is probably going to win.
absolutely. Let's go to our wheel again and give another pattern prize out. This
Oh, there's not so
time,
many on this one.
I know, because this time I was looking at the comments and I started to see a pattern with some people have commented lots and on nearly every video. So this comment is for every person you see there, those 8 people, they had commented on 6, 7, and
Wow.
8 videos. Okay, so pretty much nearly all of them. They might have missed 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you to those who kept coming back and back and back, and not only just watching it, but taking the time to comment. I'm sure there would be many people who have watched all of them and never comment, because some people aren't commenters, and I totally get that with YouTube. You just want to watch, you don't want to go that an extra step and get involved in that way, but I want to thank these people too. So what I've got here, you're going to get the same thing again, an electronic pattern from Merchant and Mills or Minerva. Your choice, you can choose. But also, let me go to Desk Cam here. Can you remember when I used to sell fabric, Ting?
Yeah.
We had lots of haberdashery. I've still got lots of haberdashery left.
Of course you have. I'm guessing in the garage.
The store cupboard, please. And I've been keeping it for rainy days and for special moments where if I want to do something and I need a pair of pinking shears. Look at these from Hemline. And then I thought I could just keep them for competitions and things for Sewing Bee. So whoever wins this one, as well as their up to £20 gift online pattern, look at that! Look, all these sewing threads. You're going to get a bundle of. Oh, look at these! Look at those, Ting.
Yeah, very nice.
Your colours.
Yeah, they are.
Of goodies too. Yeah. Oh, look at that! Look, that'll help us sew. Tailor's all. So let's.
I guess.
It'll help me when I'm doing that bias cut dress. That will be sure. Right, let's go to the wheel. Where is the wheel gone? And let's go again and press spin. Good luck to these 8 people.
The super fans.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's Tom's Crafts. Okie dokie. Let me
I think I've read some of those comments. Yeah. They're normally good comments. Well, they're all good comments, but what I mean is they're quite meaty comments.
He makes us chuckle, does Tom, doesn't he? If you remember rightly, and it still sits with me, and I've got it here. Comment of the series. Can you remember we had a giggle about this?
Yeah.
SB famously
we had it
dislikes
revisited,
brown,
didn't we, this week as well? There was something about brown, wasn't there?
Yeah. She commented Orla's flowers or mushrooms. She goes, I like these, even though I don't like brown. But Tom keeps us entertained with very, very witty comments there. So well done, Tom. Send us a message and choose your pattern up to 20 quid. You don't have to spend all the 20 quid, by the way. So and let's go to the made to measure then. Where is that on here? Okay.
I mean, you can order your bias dress pattern at the same time, couldn't you?
I could, yes. So we're going into the made to measure. As Ting just said, it could be anyone's. And I'm going, oh yeah, I'm just really relaxed and enjoying this. Here we go. 5 hours to make an outfit. Oh no, that's for a 1920s special event. I've got the wrong page. That was last week. 5.5 hours, to create a trombleur outfit.
Well, okay.
Obviously, that's French for deceiving the
trick
eye.
Of the eye. Yeah.
Did you understand my French there?
I mean, not from your French. I'm just glad I watched the show last night.
Highly realistic optic illusions. Now, this brings into a debate about, well, those optic illusions are 2D, and now we're having to come up with a 3D thing. That's a hard challenge to set for them. I know they've got time to research, but what would you have done if you saw this as a pattern challenge? Would you have panicked
I'd have
and
graciously withdrawn and not turned up?
It's obviously got potential for being stunning, but also, where would you start?
I mean, it's not something I have thought of. I've slept easy many a night, not really understanding what that was. So I think if I'd have been told I had to make something like that, it would have given me nightmares. Because again, even with the VT that they ran on, like giving some inspiration and help to us as the viewers, I was still looking at that going, I still don't know what I do.
Yeah. Because I think a 2D
and we got
optical...
3 very different approaches
as
well. It was, that made it hard to compare as well.
Yeah, because I think if you look at those 2D illusions, which that is, compared to 3D, it kind of changes it a lot and what you would actually make. But there we go. We'll go through them. So, and of course, the models aren't the normal models. They bring in from someone from home. So we have Kaz with daughter Florence. We have Órla with sibling Ro. And we have Yasmin with fiancée Sophie. Let's talk about... the backstory, maybe, because this was the only time, I notice we've thrown no slippers yet. This was the time that if I'm allowed to throw a slipper for you, I might have thrown a slipper. I don't know about you.
Start commandeering my slippers.
I just didn't. I felt that as this made to measure round went on, that the backstory was impacting too much and reinforcing it. And don't know whether that was unfair for the judges to then try and mark, knowing how some backstories seemed more serious or grand than others. What did you think of that, or did you not bother?
I mean, I suppose there was an element of that, and there's nothing wrong with having that backstory perhaps in the edit, but did they need to talk about it when the show was being recorded? Could you not just have said, this is what I'm making, and then judge it on that? And
Yeah,
then the backstory can obviously be added in as part of the edit, as it was, anyway. It was often them talking to the camera or the
yeah.
family talking to the camera, which is all done after the edit, after the show is recorded anyway. So there is an element of like, we'll keep it out of the actual make and then just add it in as part of the story of the episode that way, perhaps.
Agree, because it certainly helps us. So when we're listening to Kaz's backstory, we are literally, oh my God. But because she was telling Patrick and the judges, I just can't help thinking that, oh, that's now hard for the judges, because if you're judging that, I would feel really difficult to then, to stop that biasing me in some way or form. I'm sure it probably didn't them. They were ultimately professional, but I just don't know if that makes it harder for the judges. They don't need to know that at all, do they?
No, they don't. They should be judging it on the sewing at the end of the day, shouldn't they?
But let's go through them. Kaz, where are we? Made to measure. There it is. Look at that close up. What a Meg. What did you think when you saw this developing?
Well, I didn't really. I mean, obviously, we saw the picture of it, and I didn't really know how it was going to turn out. And there was that bit of jeopardy where she seemed to be jamming the sewing machine up, trying to do the boning and everything to get that 3D effect, which added, a little bit of jeopardy into what we've said was a bit of a flat episode in that respect. But it is a phenomenal make. It meets the brief at the end of the day.
It's just very, very clever. I was expecting the zips to move a bit more and be a bit more, pull that down so we can see the heart come out. I thought that would have been nice to
God.
have. Would you? Would you not?
Oh God, no. Bit of decorum, please. I don't want you unzipping yourself and exposing yourself in that way.
It just looked, on a real close-up, it looked like the red fabric was concertinaed in there.
That's because I saw Downton Abbey at the weekend, and I feel I've gone all Maggie Smith.
I just thought that was part of the reveal, that they were going to pull it down and then ba-doom, ba-doom sort of thing.
Clutch my pearls as I go.
But I thought that would have been nice anyway. But look at that, because you've got the black dress underneath and you can see the gold echoing that beautifully.
Yeah.
Just thought very clever. Look, and then the rib cage on the shoulders. Just couldn't help but looking at that going, yeah, she's going to have it. She's going to have it, as that was developing. Did you think that, viewers, as you saw that happening? Let's have a go. And this is it on the side. That idea of revealing that 3D effect. Very clever. Very clever. Mm-hmm. And let's go to Órla's. So Órla's design was this idea that you would see black from the front, which you do. Look at that shot there. And then as they turn to the side, whoever is wearing it, then this pop colour would reveal. That's the back.
Well done.
That's the back side of it. Sorry, I missed the side. Got it in the wrong order. There we go. And it was to celebrate diversity and the rainbow flag in honour of the sibling Roe, who is non-binary.
So we've had some clarity after last week. So apparently at the time of filming, Órla was 19.
Yeah.
And this was a younger sibling. So even more so to be possibly, I imagine it's got to be 16, 17, 18. But, Órla was only 19.
Yeah.
And then they've come on here and modelled this. And, that was phenomenal in itself as well, to think that they're even younger than Órla.
And we have praised the programme. They have been doing it over the years, actually, the last 2 or 3 years, haven't they, of diversity and inclusivity. it's singing it loud and proud in so many ways with Yasmin and with this one here now. The effect of turning side on is clever, though, isn't it? That works
Oh,
in its
absolutely.
truest form of
Yeah.
the idea of 2D to 3D.
But
But
the problem is
yeah,
that it's a very different to what Kaz had done,
yeah,
and not different as in it was better or worse or anything like that. But that, I suppose, was the problem with this brief, is that I sat there and went, well, I would have no idea what to do, and we saw three very different
yeah.
approaches what to do, and so there was a part of me that's like, well, I'm glad I'm not actually judging this because they're not really comparable.
And absolutely, it's right. So you then sort of ditch the idea of 2D 3D as just a fun thing and then actually look at the sewing. So did it come down to her pool? What do you call them? Those pool things? Those
Pool noodles.
noodles. That's it. Did it come down to that? Because that was going to be the hardest thing. Is how do you sew or attach the noodles to that top?
I must admit, I was because I was shocked that it ended up being hand sewing, didn't it? And I was just like, okay, you've got 5.5 hours, but to sew them on and get the angle right so that when you're stood facing front on, that they don't droop and everything like that. It was just like, wow, that's the bit
Yeah,
where you've put a huge amount of time onto your sew here. But I mean, not to go against it, the rest of the dress was it wasn't simple to make because it was using scuba and that's difficult
yeah,
enough to work with. But the dress itself was relatively easy, so that you then had the time to solve that problem of the
of
attachment
that.
of the noodles.
And
Yeah.
she did because they didn't droop, did they? I thought that she would have cut them down even more, especially that orange one and yellow one. But look,
Yeah.
there's no droop in there, is there?
No. No.
What do you think if, and I know it might ruin the brief a bit, but if, I can't remember who did it, but in the pleats before, that there was colour, the rainbow colour was
You
in
know,
that.
I
Go on.
was just going to say the same thing,
Yeah,
but I don't know if that would have ruined the effect. I suppose there is an argument that if perhaps the pleats on the back, maybe it had a bit more of a fishtail that had those rainbow colours in, so that when they turn round, you got a rainbow as well.
yeah,
But I suppose that wouldn't be necessarily 3D.
no,
But it would have been a way to tie it together. And then in effect, the front and the back are two different things
yeah.
because you would never see the front and the back at the
That's,
same time. So it wouldn't ruin the 3D illusion of having what you had on the front if we'd have had some of that color in the
yeah.
back.
But it would have,
But that would have made the dress a lot more complicated, which then would have
yeah.
meant maybe she wouldn't have had the time to hand sew the front on. Maybe she toyed with that idea in the past, but maybe it just took too long.
Good point. And let's go on to Yasmin's. There we go. And then her design. I am
So
go on.
I'm going to put my hands up here.
Yeah.
I loved it, but I didn't understand where it came from.
No, and I've just looked at my notes here, and I've clearly not got anything there. So I'm looking at the design, and it says that the illusion dress. I don't know. Terrible. Sorry,
I know it was
Yasmin.
something to do with her father because she'd only recently lost her father, which is
Yes,
where the tie and
the
that came
Taylor
from.
element came in.
And I don't know if it's because I was too busy messaging you, or
Yeah,
because of what we said earlier that she did seem to come out bottom on the edit.
yeah.
But it got to the point where I was like, I don't understand why she's doing what she's doing, but I love it. I love the orange. I love the black. I love the way that she'd folded the net so it was darker and then it went out to a
Oh,
lighter
it's
grey.
brilliant. Yeah,
I loved what she'd done, but I unlike well, it goes back to what you were saying about backstories.
yeah,
It just didn't feel that this backstory was pushed very much,
yeah.
and so therefore I struggled to understand why she was doing it. I loved it, but I didn't know why.
I I think what's incredibly clever is how the dress looks a different colour because of those different layers of tulle as it fans out. It's great. You
Yeah.
get this darker russet look, and that bit in the middle pops. I wonder what would happen because we lost a lot of the tie. I almost wanted to go woot and turn that arrow so it was going like that way, and the
Oh
bunny
God,
is.
that would be ridiculous. I think the
What's
problem was if you look at the picture, sorry, if you look at the sketch,
yeah.
the black is centered, and on the actual garment, it seems to have
On the her.
shifted
Yeah.
over on So we can tell we're from Suffolk. It's on the her, and whether that knocked it out a little bit, so it didn't quite read as it was supposed to, perhaps.
Could be. I think, even though you just dismissed it in one fell swoop, that it might have been better side on. You would have seen the whole tie then more, wouldn't you? And that
She
lovely.
would have got. She would have got out the lift door. She'd have to come outside. It's like a crab.
She'd have to go, yeah, sideways on.
Imagine going to a party, you'd turn around, you'd take out everyone's champagne in one fell swoop. There'd be
Oh
vol-au-vents flying
dear.
everywhere, and what's the name from earlier episode to catch them all in her dress?
Oh, so what are we thinking now? We've seen all three of them. What were you thinking at this
I
point?
still, I still couldn't call it because as much as you could see the work, well, you could see the work that had gone into every single one. It wasn't like you thought, oh, someone was skimping or anything
Yeah,
like that. They all had their own challenges and they all looked phenomenal. There was nothing where you were like, oh, it's half done or it's being held together with pins or anything. And there was still, I think because we hadn't had a clear winner in the other two
yeah.
challenges, like it would have been a clean sweep all the way across. It was still very much it could be anyone's, and I'd said last week that kind of I was leaning towards Orla, although we still said I was still agreed with you. It wouldn't matter who's won. I was still pleased when they announced the winner, but I still didn't know who it was actually going to be.
I kind of agree, but I still think, oh no, I was going, it had to be Kaz. It had to be. I just think there were just more, if you were looking at the sewing, the techniques in there are just more of them. And let's don't forget as well, I know we often talk about this idea of made to measure. Which one is actually a made to measure? Were they all properly
Well, they
made to
all
measure?
were. They were all fitted, weren't
Fitted,
they?
yeah.
Not to be too controversial, but we didn't have all of this billowing fabric everywhere that we
No.
may have had on some other makes that people have done this series. They were fitted. They're all fitted to their models.
So you're then looking at the garment and the sewing techniques, and then are you looking at the brief of that optical illusion?
But you could argue, yes, she's had to put all the boning into there, but I'm gonna not to attack Kaz on any front at all, but I thought that a lot of the sewing of the boning looked a bit rough, and there was some threads hanging when
They did say
they were
that.
finished up,
They did.
and she used boning, but then Orla had put those pool noodles in all different lengths and hand sewn them
Yeah.
onto her dress. And then you got the wire frame that Yasmin had done. Again, the actual 3D construction bit, I feel that all of them did very well, and they put it all on top of a very well fitted, in effect, slip dress. But I didn't feel confident enough to say, oh, it's definitely Orla. But I also didn't feel confident enough to say it was definitely anyone else there. With Yasmin's trajectory, she could have had it.
Yeah.
I feel that Kaz's was built more on what she'd done on the part. Not that what she'd done in this show wasn't good, but she had done so well. If you look at the series as a whole, I think some of that was taken into consideration. And and again, not to upset the apple cart here, because like we've said right from the start, any one of them was a deserved winner. But sometimes on the sewing bee, they go for age and experience, and we've had older sewers win. But then equally, we've had other
Yeah.
series where
Yep.
they've gone for the younger potential because they've shown that flair with a good standard of sewing. So I still feel that it could have gone anywhere across those three, and they just went with a bit more age and experience. With it still was a stunning.
Oh yes.
I
Yeah.
can't sit here and say she shouldn't have won because it was stunning.
It'd be interesting to see what the viewers think, whether it was, if they thought it was close between Kaz and Yasmin, or
Yeah.
Kaz and Orla. I just felt, as I was watching that last sort of 10 minutes, I was like, yeah, Kaz has got this. Kaz has got this, definitely. That's how it came across to me. And then, so we had to go through that nice little bit where all the previous bees come back and they take a look around, and then they're all gathered up behind to hear the announcement of who is going to be the winner of the 2025 Series 11 of the Sewing Bee. And it was Kaz. Well done, Kaz.
Well done. Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a joy to watch. Your laugh was incredibly infectious. And was it me or was she laughing a lot? I think it was nervous laughing this episode.
I think it was, yeah.
But there was something about that just lifted the sewing room and probably put everyone at ease. And there was, just came across as a really, they were all enjoying themselves. Or was that me? Did you get that feel?
No, I think they were, but I think Kaz also came across, not that any of the others weren't normal, but she was almost
Yeah.
like, well, just normal. And she had moments where it didn't work, and she got frustrated and she got upset. I mean, not in the episode, but I'm talking across the whole series. And there were moments where she had great success, and I feel that that's the same with any of it. That would be the same with any of us. I had a reasonably good day at work today, and I came home rather happy. But yesterday, I
Yeah.
did not. So you just have those highs and lows, and we kind of saw that with her. And she was very humble with it. She accepted when it went wrong, and
Yeah.
she kind of celebrated when it went well. And those kinds of elements of light and dark, she just, her character and her personality managed those well. And I think that just made her even more human for the rest of us.
Completely agree. And I think also that's perhaps why we connected with Dan as well, which we liked because of that fun nature.
I haven't got over that. I can't talk about that. Dan should have won.
Oh dear. Okay, let's go to one more made to measure wheel and look very carefully.
Oh.
Oh no, this one. That we've done that one. Okay,
Done that one.
this one. There are two people who have made a comment on every video. I went through, I spent the whole weekend, Ting, going through all the comments,
Weekend for you.
made a lovely spreadsheet, and there were a couple of people, as I say, on that last wheel that were weeks that got 6, 7, and 8 comments over the series. They just missed one. I bet they're going to be cursing now. And I want to do an extra little prize for them. So they will also get the pattern of their choice, if they so wish. But also look at this, what I've got here, and a bundle of stuff. Where's my desk cam? But get ready for these, T. Look. Posh sew line scissors, but two there. Look. Oh, look. And you can see it's worth 60 quid. Look. Let's get rid of that.
Oh.
Still got the price stuck on it. But there you go. This is Japanese engineering because they know how to make scissors and blades.
Okay, if you say so.
Well, yeah, because of all their samurai stuff. Look at that. And I've got a set both, and there's no wheel to do because it is literally two people. Let's go to it. Where is it? I've lost it now. So these two people who would comment on all 9 videos, and they'll hopefully comment on this one today to make it a nice rounded 10.
Now.
But they are going to get these sent to them in the post. So message me too, and they are, I'll reveal them. First one
bated breath
is Jane Cornell 4890, who actually I know from my videos of my Woolpatch monthly shop videos, who is in America. So perhaps, Jane, you don't want all these. I might treat you to 3 or 4 patterns because I don't know what that will be, sending that over to America. I'll have to get a quote for it. And our second winner that had commented on all 9 videos is Lois Wells 3564. And these, what I liked about all the comments were great. It's not about length, but I always felt that Jane and Lois, their comments were really long. Can you remember Everbee? Everbee popped up a couple of weeks, but over the years, Everbee would give us really long comments as they dissected the show, and it's just wonderful to see. So there we are, Jane and Lois. A treat to you to say thank you, and not lots of sewing stuff as well. You'll get all the other little things in there too. So I hope you like sewing. If not, definitely gift it to someone else. Pay it forward.
Well, I got a
and
bone to
tricks.
pick with some of these as well because I don't know who it was,
Yeah.
but it was the person who made the comment about how often I talk about making tea.
Yes. Well, I didn't even know this was a thing. So I
Well,
messaged
I
and
didn't. I
said,
just say it.
"What's
Apparently,
this?"
it is.
Yeah. And then
So,
she's dropped some links and some things. So if you don't know what it is, click on the timestamps on one of the comments. And in one video,
well, no,
Ting said it. You
it
said
was.
it 3 times, I think, didn't you?
Well, it's basically when I'm complaining about how little time they've had and they have a frustrating moment. I've always said that if you were making it at home, you'd just stop, go and make a cup of tea, and come back, and then you'd carry on. I thought I'd only said it once or twice, but apparently
I
I
know.
say it quite a lot. So I think rather than looking for slippers, you should be looking for when that comment comes out, perhaps.
Absolutely. Especially if you're watching now a year behind, or you're going to
Who
go,
knew I had a
I know.
catchphrase?
Oh, there we are, Ting. Series 11 done. We nearly didn't do it because it didn't come out in the spring like usually. And then I thought, oh, they're going to go and show it in June, July. Well, that's impossible for you because of the exams. And then it came out in
Yeah.
summer, which meant we kind of could do it. And you said you were up for it because we weren't going to do it at
Well, and
all.
but we've gone from, I mean, I'm sat here now under very harsh lighting because it's now dark
Yeah.
outside. When we were recording the first episodes of this between 7 and 8, I didn't need a light on. I just had the sun from outside. It was still summer. So we've gone from light to dark as well.
Have you enjoyed it though?
Oh, it's been a wonderful series because
Yeah.
it just feels there was something different this time round than perhaps what we'd spent the last 2 years moaning about.
Absolutely. And I even went on, I don't often do this, but I even went on to the Sewing Bee Instagram because I do follow them. And I left my first message and just said, I thought it was a great series. And I said on there, well done, production company too. Because we do moan. We have moaned at them, haven't we? But you're right. There was definitely something different right from the beginning here. Now, I also have a confession to make, Ting.
Oh,
Over the autumn and winter, I'm afraid I'm going to be cheating on you. Yeah. And I don't feel so guilty because you already said, oh, you with your girlfriend, are you? Way back. Viewers, cast your mind back 2 years to Sewing Bee Series 9. There was a particular contestant on there who I, as always, get attached to quite early on and wanted to win. And that's Lizzie from the Sewing Bee. Well, I've gamed up with her. Let's go to this one. There it is, to do a new companion show that you never thought you needed. Because starting in, well, I say starting, we're guessing. This is all still guessing, but we've analysed it already. The Instagram of the Game of Wool has kicked off and they're posting weekly. I think it's going to be after the Great British Bake Off finishes. And that's sort of late October, early November. But the Game of Wool will be on Channel 4. The knitting and crochet competition show. Bit like Sewing Bee, but with knitting and crochet. So, of course, we've got to do a show. But Ting, you've been sidelined for this.
well,
Go on.
Well, what all these viewers need to know then is I'll be doing my own show that criticises what you've been saying.
Well, I just thought you'd be too busy because it's all, you know what autumn term's like for you. It's full on, isn't it? So, but would you be up for coming on maybe? There's only 8 weeks for this first series. Would you be up for coming on one and let us know your thoughts?
I'm sure I could make some time somewhere, especially if it turns out to be horrific and I need to come on with my slippers.
Because we have no idea. We've made one show already with Lizzie on my YouTube channel. If you go and have a look and search for Game of Wool, we've had fun guessing what it could be, because it's, you know, it takes a long while to knit something. You know, you've got a challenge of knitting a jumper.
Takes you a long while to knit something.
Well, yeah. So we're working out, is it going to be in teams? Are they going to have groups of 4 knitting to make a garment or make a sculpture of some sort? They're then going to have mini challenges where they have to perhaps do a crochet pin cushion or a what do you call it, yarn bomb, a post box, something like that. No idea. But 8 weeks, all about knitting and crocheting. So it's ideal for my shop. We'll be doing lots of yarn promotions too. Teamed up with Katia, who I sell in my shop. You've used a lot of their yarn, Ting, with your scarves. So we're going to be giving away prizes and stuff and promotions. So it's going to be great fun if you love your knitting and crochet, or if you just want somewhere to hang over autumn and winter to see what this show's going to be like. Because as you say, Ting, it could be car crash telly, couldn't it?
Well, you started this show talking about how we'd known each other for all this time, but who knew this is how the friendship ends after 24 years? So, yeah, you have fun with your new friend. See ya.
Oh, you gotta love him, haven't you? Thanks, everyone, for he'll come back, don't you worry. Thanks, everyone, for a marvellous 10 weeks, and we will see you on Game of Wool, and then, hopefully, next year for Series 12. Cheers, everyone. Bye. Shout bye, Ting.
Bye.